Who annoys the Batman? While your immediate thought might be everyone, there are some heroes who annoy the Caped Crusader more than others. Batman has a complicated history with many a character in the DC universe, but his relationship with the characters that we discuss on this list are often pretty satisfying to watch play out, especially when those characters just don't realize they probably shouldn't mess with the Dark Knight to begin with. So with that in mind, today we are jumping into a list called the top 10 superheroes who annoy Batman the most. Get ready for some lulz. Hopefully. I don't know, some of them are pretty silly. And at number 10, Superman. Batman and Superman at times really dislike each other. They're basically complete opposites when it comes to their ideologies, and also aesthetics. At times, Clark Kent's alter ego has been depicted as a goody two-shoes, whereas Bats will do whatever necessary, minus killing, in order to bring about justice. One is light, the other dark, you guys know the whole spiel. And often it's Batman's trust issues that lead him and Supes to clashing. Considering Superman is essentially accountable to no one and has an ultimate amount of unchecked power, you can see why Bats gets super wary of him. Now the reason why Superman only comes in our number 10 spot though is because when he's not annoying the crap out of Batman, he's like super busy being his best buddy. I mean, look at the Golden Age, you guys. That's a bromance if we ever did see one. But often these two are forced to face off against one another. Plus, Batman asked Superman to be his best man at his wedding with Catwoman, which they didn't actually get married, but like that's besides the point. Best man, Superman, not Dick Grayson, who was sour about it. Whether in a wacky World's Finest comic book from the Golden and Silver Ages, or in that recent mess of a movie Batman vs. Superman. And at number 9, Rick Flag Jr. and the Suicide Squad. Rick Flag Jr. took over where his father left off as the head of the Suicide Squad, and Flag and his team clashed a couple times with Batman. The first was when Batman discovered that the Suicide Squad existed, disagreeing that a group of criminals who weren't reformed would get early parole if they managed to survive crazy missions that the government was assigning them. In the 1987 issue 10 of Suicide Squad, Batman decides to do something about it, which results in him taking on Flag and beating him up. Like, really easily. The only reason why Batman doesn't end the Suicide Squad is because of Amanda Waller, who is being the ultimate boss that she is and threatens to expose his identity to the public. The second time was when Bats and the Justice League decide to rescue Nemesis, up until Batman discovers that the Suicide Squad is also trying to rescue Nemesis, and then Batman's like, nah, f it, let's not go through with this. But Flag tries to reason with him, thinking that they could help each other out. Problem is, Batman doesn't want to be associated with the Suicide Squad, so he swats Flag away like a fly. Up next, number 8, Green Arrow. After 2006, Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow, started having a bit of an attitude problem towards Batman. Eventually, Batman was essentially like, hey man, why you gotta be so mean to me all the time? But he put it in a much more eloquent way than that, really. And he brought up the fact that he knew that Green Arrow's anger towards him wasn't because of something he did, but rather something that Queen had done to him, saying that Queen just wasn't that shallow. While out of context this may seem super presumptuous, Bats was actually right. Prior to this, Green Arrow, along with the rest of the Justice League, had wiped Batman's memory in Identity Crisis, something that was revealed during JLA Crisis of Conscience. The reason why they had done this was because Batman had walked in on the other members of the League when Zatanna was mind-wiping Dr. Light, who years prior had raped Sue Dibney in the Justice League satellite headquarters. So clearly, Batman did not approve of this. By the time Batman calls Green Arrow out, he's been thoroughly annoyed with Queen's behavior, and has deduced that it's not just Oliver being a dick, but rather Oliver acting out of guilt. The Green Arrow has often been criticized for initially being a ripoff of Batman, with Oliver Queen being a wealthy orphan whose equipment and base, i.e. the Arrow Cave, have been too similar to Batman's, but the character received a bit of a makeover that made him a much more liberal superhero. And also broke. And at number 7, The Outsiders. Once upon a time, the Justice League prohibited Batman from entering a war-torn country to save his pal Lucius Fox, after the UN objected to it. Bruce wasn't really down with that, so he quit the Justice League and decided to start up his own new team, which became known as The Outsiders, also that he could go in and save Fox. The team was made up of 2 Justice League rejects, Black Lightning and Metamorpho, and 4 new characters at the time, Katana, Geoforce, Halo, and Looker. But things with The Outsiders didn't really work out as planned. They didn't like following Bruce's strict rules, so he got annoyed and ditched them altogether, believing it was more important to protect Gotham City than any of the other stuff that the Outsiders whined that they'd rather be doing. Batman stuck around with them in their own solo comic called Batman and the Outsiders until issue 32, in which the comic title changed to Adventures of the Outsiders, which only carried on for 6 issues after that. Then another 6 issues after that were reprints until it was just cancelled altogether. You lose Batman, you lose your comic. And at number 6, The Flash. Now, it's no secret that the recent Justice League feature film wasn't all that great, and and we're not about to unpackage all of its problems in this number. But one thing that we will talk about was how a lot of critics felt that Ezra Miller's Flash was a really annoying source of comic relief, despite a lot of fans liking his interpretation of the character. But one person in the film agreed with those critics, and that person is none other than our easily annoyed pal, Bruce Wayne. From asking silly questions to his short attention span, Barry had a way of making Bruce metaphorically roll his eyes. According to Miller himself, I quote, "Flash is Ringo Starr. He annoys everybody, but he doesn't have any specific beef with anyone." Miller also called Batman the dad who gets too grumpy. And he's not wrong there. Up next at 5, Judge Dredd. What's more annoying to Batman than someone refusing to stick to his code? Someone whose code is even more intense than his. Think about it. According to Dredd, who considers himself to be the law, and the judge and jury and executioner for that matter, Batman works outside of the law. The two clashed in the crossover Batman Judge Dredd Judgment on Gotham, which was published in 1991 and saw Dredd make a dimensional jump to Gotham City, murdering 2 lovers and a police officer. Batman finds that dimensional jump belt that he used and accidentally lands himself in Mega City 1, where Dredd accuses him of vigilantism and carrying illegal weapons in his utility belt. Eventually, by the end of the 4-issue series, Dredd drops the charges against Batman, and even implies that he has respect for the Caped Crusader. The two would team up again, but not without Dredd getting on Bat's nerves. In at number 4, Booster Gold. Booster Gold has always pushed Batman's buttons in a pretty comical way. Batman's never really had much patience for Booster's antics over the years either. Booster is typically depicted as a glory-seeking showboat character from the future, who uses his technology to stage high-publicity hero antics, which was initially all part of a get-rich-quick scheme. So, arguably, he and Bats have very different intentions. Recently, Booster got Bats a wedding gift for his and Catwoman's almost nuptials, which went very, very wrong. He tries to rewrite the timeline to give Batman his parents back. Sweet in intention, disastrous in execution. The timeline warps into a dystopian alternate future, where Dick Grayson is Batman, but kills, and the Joker has taken over Gotham. This begins a whole series of Booster trying to the timeline and doing some pretty silly stuff, including trying to fix his wrongs by breaking the timeline's version of Selina Kyle out of a mental asylum, so that she can meet Bruce Wayne. So yeah, kinda makes sense why Batman has a few issues with this fella. After all, he is kind of the biggest yet most lovable screw-up in the DC universe. In at number 3, Robin. If you've ever heard the phrase, "I'm the goddamn Batman," or seen the meme, you probably know where this number is going. Between 2005 and 2008, Frank Miller wrote a comic series that would later be placed in the same continuity as his original classic, The Dark Knight Returns. This series started younger Bruce Wayne during his days when he was an active superhero long before the events of The Dark Knight Returns. The comic is often remembered for how it really pushed boundaries in terms of Batman's rough and sometimes crude behavior, especially in regards to how he treated his young ward, Robin. There was a whole lot of verbal and physical abuse that Dick Grayson endured, with Batman not allowing him to grieve for his parents' deaths, telling him to shut up often, not letting him have any say in his costume or name, and most famously calling him retarded, right before saying, "Who the hell do you think I am? I'm the goddamn Batman." Outside of All-Star Batman and Robin, Bruce's relationship with Grayson has had its ups and downs, but generally he perceives him as family, even when he's being tough with him, which is usually when he's acting out of Grayson's best interests. In at number 2, Hal Jordan. Hal and Bruce are another pairing that have a very complex relationship. Hal has a very specific way he likes to police the universe, and Batman, once again, operates by his code. Both are incredibly stubborn too, so it makes sense why they would sometimes harbor clashing opinions. But during Emerald Twilight, a story arc in Green Lantern Volume 3, issues 48 to 50 back in 1994, Hal went a little bit crazy, and murdered a bunch of Green Lanterns after the whole controversial Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman arcs. Anyone who's a longtime fan of this channel probably knows my disdain for that whole train wreck of a story arc, aka the reason why death is inconsequential in comics. But I won't get into that now. Anywho, Jordan's home coast city is destroyed while all of this is going on. He loses it, and tries to recreate it with his ring, which is a big no-no for a Green Lantern since it's using his power for personal gain. The Guardians contact him, give him crap, and Hal turns against him. It's later revealed that all of this happened while he was under the control of Parallax. Flash forward to long afterwards when Hal has been aggressively working to rewrite his wrongs. And fix his reputation. But Batman just can't get over it. He doesn't trust him. And because of this, Hal doesn't like Bruce, and also because he uses fear as a weapon against criminals. So all in all, you can see how Bruce would see Hal as being super annoying. You don't like me because you can't trust me. Wah. His annoyance with Green Lantern has been depicted in the comics many a time, and it even made an appearance in a very hilarious way during All-Star Batman and Robin, when Batman not only states that Hal has the imagination of a potato, but also paints an entire room yellow just to piss him off, since Hal hates the color yellow. What makes it better though is that he forces Robin to do the painting. Cherry on top. And finally, in at number 1, Guy Gardner. While Batman's annoyance with Hal Jordan makes perfect sense when you look at their history, there's another Green Lantern who annoys the Dark Knight even more. Guy Gardner. He even mooned Batman at the Justice League headquarters. But to be fair, Gardner pretty much hates everybody, except he holds a particularly nasty grudge towards Batman. The two were both members on the Justice League team that reformed in 1987, and Guy just assumed that he would be made the leader. Instead, everyone else on the team wanted Batman to lead. So, full of resentment, he kept pressing Batman's buttons, and kept challenging him to fights. Until finally, Batman gave in and said yes. And what happened? The Dark Knight knocked him out with one punch. So yeah, makes sense why Guy wasn't chosen to be their leader. Luckily, he's not a character that Batman has to endure a whole lot more these days. Alright, there we have it, friends. Which one of these characters annoys you the most? Give us a shout in those comments below. If you guys would like to see us do a list of the top 10 supervillains who annoy Batman, also give us a shout about that too. If you dug this video, show us some love, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Nerd for more Batman and other comic content too, from lists to theories to verses and much more. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll catch you all in the next video.